Okay, next up, Angus. Now, let me see, where's my notes for Angus? Helen and Morag, of course. So Helen is an artist and Morag is the PT of Grange Primary School, and they've been working with learners at Grange and have been focusing on play and play practices. So over to you, Helen.
I'll start. I'm Morag, Principal Teacher at Grange Primary. So our project, we titled it At Grange Plays the Way. I'll just give you a little bit of the background and then Helen will take it forward from there. So our children told us that during the pandemic they'd missed playing and interacting with peers in school and at home and wanted more time to explore and learn outdoors. Our observations since returning to school suggested that many children found social interaction challenging, and this was having a negative impact on their well-being. Children had missed important transitions, which had increased anxiety for some, and we believe that providing high-quality play experiences will allow our learners to problem solve, innovate, and imagine together, and improve their well-being. And this is reflected through our school improvement plan. Our extensive school grounds offer an opportunity for us to invite our local community in to explore play and imagine together with us, helping us work together to improve the well-being of all. As a school, we'd already consulted with our learners before Helen arrived, providing them with a map of the grounds and asking what they'd like to see in it. So they came up with everything from football goals, sandpits, zip wires, swimming pools, donut machines, you name it, we had it. So through Helen, we were able to see that she sort of opened it up, and just to let us see that children don't really know what they want, and actually to observe them while they're learning and while they're playing would actually be much more productive. So that's where she took it. And I'll just pass it over to Helen to take that forward.
Hi there. So I'm going to try and share my screen here so you can let me know. Hopefully it's going to work okay. So let me know if you can see the first slide.
Yeah.
I can't see anyone else, so I'm just going to take it that you can see the first slide.
It's there, Helen. It's definitely
okay, great, fantastic. So, yeah, I started by doing playground observations and speaking to learners and support staff and really getting to know the school's previous work on this, including a Learning Through Landscapes report that they'd had. There were some really strong findings from the initial observations. Lack of sports facilities and overcrowding on tarmac and poor weather was causing stresses and fights. Few things to play with meant that children focused on competitive or let's pretend group games while others kind of wandered around not sure how to join in. The school is really lucky to have this amazing Millennium Woodland around its perimeter. Most children were desperate to play in the woods, and this was a constant source of frustration as well as creating behaviour issues when they disappeared in there anyway. The school acted immediately on findings from my report, including allowing grass play straight away in different weathers. Building on these initial observations, Morag and I planned consultations with learners through creative play and filmmaking workshops. The aims were to assess what changes would have the most positive impacts and feed insights into the procurement for a £49,000 Angus Council grant for playground development. The project would culminate in a play festival to communicate findings to the wider community. I supported P6 classes to experiment with creative filmmaking in small groups to communicate their views on play at Grange, and these fed directly into procurement and school plans. I also began outdoor workshops based on free play principles. The playground was quite a sterile environment, so I introduced messy forms of drawing. Support staff, however, felt that this kind of play would be tricky to support at break times, but the P1 teachers were keen to adopt these activities and took on the resources. We also did woodland weaving and den making using colourful low-cost scrap store materials. This was an activity that support staff felt they could support. The activity encouraged positive teamwork, and the children gained confidence from working creatively on a large scale. Following meetings with Scrap Antics in Dundee, we signed up for their loose parts subscription service on a trial basis, and I did loose parts workshops with classes as well as drop-in sessions at break and lunch times. Teachers noted that children who wouldn't normally play together were interacting and there was improved behaviour. Although there were occasionally some sharing issues, children from the ASN unit were interacting with other children more often. including one child with autism, where a large ship's rope allowed him to cooperate with another child. Afterwards, we had drawing and discussion sessions, talking through the benefits and any issues and problems, and the children came up with ideas for resolving these. Loose parts were deemed a huge success, and following the workshops, the P5s made an induction video and posters for the rest of the school, using what they'd learned about carrying loose parts safely and keep the shed tidy. This project involved a significant level of consultation and collaboration with other stakeholders and outside experts. Some of the most fruitful included collaboration with Scrap Antics, feedback from the Parent Council, and consultation with EcoForce, a local environmental group. Following appeals by pupils, the school leadership were keen to consider future access to the woods, so my subsequent workshops focused on this. Children were not very aware of the play potential of living things. Some expressed a fear of all plants and insects, while some were oblivious to all hazards, including even nettles. EcoForce supported a workshop where we identified living things, working towards a field guide which could be kept in the woods for reference and added to in subsequent years. I also did planting workshops guided by EcoForce, and they offered to help the school build up biodiversity over the long term and introduce plants with greater play potential. I worked with the P3 group to supplement their forest school programme, and as well as bushcraft, we investigated the potential of sound play, and this helped to inform plans for a music wall in the woods. I then worked on a weekly basis with the Power Group, who had been developing a new school motto. We considered issues that were preventing access to the woods, and the children came up with ideas for a woodland code to inspire responsible access in the form of poems by fictional characters, which will be installed as signage in the woods. The group came up with the name for the Woodland Play Zone and suggestions for what you might find there. We subsequently commissioned Dundee Wood Recycling to build some low-cost structures, including a mud kitchen, music wall, storyteller chair, and a story hut that the group painted with fictional place names. E4 helped create a fantastic display to showcase project activities and to get pupils and staff talking about the new play equipment arriving over the summer holidays. And on in-service, I led a training session with support staff on loose parts and forest play. We workshopped possible issues, and staff were overwhelmingly supportive of the changes and hopeful to see positive impacts on behaviour. The children had also expressed a wish for the playground to look more exciting, and we had noted that the existing rather dreary-looking murals still provided important play prompts. So we commissioned Scrap Antics to work with learners on new mural designs, and the Power Group worked with me on graphic design to incorporate their school motto. Morag will now share a video of the mural project, followed by some excerpts from the P6 play films and a short presentation by the Power Group. Oh, actually, maybe it's... I'm thinking maybe Jonathan's going to share it.
Yeah.
So hopefully I've stopped sharing. Did that work?
Yeah.
Thank you, Helen. Brilliant.
This is not as seamless as I'd hoped. Bear with me.
Can't hear the sound at the moment.
What was the fix for that, Julia? Sorry.
If you stop the video, Jonathan, and go back to before you screen share, go out of sharing.
Okay.
And then when you click on the share button, you'll see at the top there's an option to include sound.
I always forget that. Sorry. Right.
Okay.
2 secs.
Perfect.
Sounds disappeared.
Jonathan, because you've muted, the sound won't come through. From Peace and we've been just talking about the woods and just finishing off what
It's a little bit quiet.
And before all this, we've done this big mind map of the woods.
So it's sort of like about the children's and the adults' point of views about the birds.
It's difficult to keep an eye on them all because there are only two of us, and you'll have to have two eyes in the back of your head. You can't see what's going on up the top end.
Okay, so you've sort of like put them into different categories about the rules for the forest. We've got be responsible, be believe, be kind, and be safe. And we've also been thinking about some things we can put on like the signs and characters for the forest, stuff like that. So when we used to be able to go into the woods, there was quite a lot of fights, den wars, stealing stuff from each other, fighting with sticks. And it had to be banned for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then COVID struck, so we weren't allowed to do it then. But now we are reopening the forest. But we're doing some like new rules. We're probably gonna have like red ladies in there.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make it like a happy environment for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to like the future of like the forest, even though I probably won't be here. I'm just really excited for all of my other friends in the lower classes. Just like for them to have a really nice environment, like play and everything like that. I'm really excited about that.
I feel like this was quite easy and quite fun, but the tricky part was definitely kind of the rhyming and like the poems that we had to write, and also like what people would do, such as the Gruffle and the Stickman, of because we need to think of who would be in the forest and who it relates to be kind, be safe, and believe.
So we've also wrote like lots of different like things about, so we should like
rhymes. So my one is trees towering over my head looks like it's going to grab me. When the branches sway in the wind, it sounds like the wave you see.
Okay, so mine is about, we're thinking about having like a mud kitchen inside the forest. So I've put, in the kitchen you may get muddy, but you might just find a buddy. You can make a mud coffee, or you can make a muddy sloppy toffee. You can fry a mud pie, or make a potion if you try.
We made like these poetic, like woodland code signages. So like something like this, and we just had to did one for sight, sound, smell and touch. We didn't do one for taste because we don't want anybody really to eat anything in the forest. We thought about what we would have in the forest, like the mud kitchen has been said, and a little house. Well, not really little, but quite a big house. A shed.
Just chilling.
Yeah, and just around the place some signs of the quotes that we've wrote.
And can you tell us why we're putting the Woodland signage in? What's the purpose of putting the signage in?
To put out the rules, stuff like that, and also just like introduce like the younger ones to it, and just to get them like in the spirit of like going in.
And instead of making the rules like, no, you're not allowed to do this.
We want to make it fun for the little ones.
I can be a flag or a hook for a bag. I can be a pen. I can be a part of a den. I'm a stick, and I love to play. Come play with me in your forest day. That's the stick man quote. But beware that sticks can be dangerous too. Hold me upright so I don't hurt you. So
That's great. Are there any more on that?
beware that nothing in the forest is yummy. Don't eat anything or you will get a sore tummy.
The things that we did, like the mind map and going into the forest, how do you think they helped? They helped you come up with ideas, or how do you
I think
find?
they really did help because we sort of had like ideas. We had some from like the other children and adults, and it was just it made it 10 times more easier. It was a lot easier to think of ideas and everything.
Do you feel like you've learned anything from this project about going forward for the rest of your work at all?
I think I've learned just good things take time, and they do take a lot of time and effort, but if you put in the effort now, later you'll be able to have the fun.
I mean, I think you guys came up with some amazing ideas. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Are you pleased with the ideas that
Yeah,
you came up with?
Yeah,
Well, is there anything you're particularly pleased about?
I'm saying particularly pleased about like the poetic stuff that we've made up.
I have to apologise to Helen there. She actually redid the sound on that and I've sent the wrong clip in. I just realised as soon as it's going through. So apologies on my behalf for that.
It's fantastic.
I'd just like to finish off just very quickly with a little bit about the impact for us and next steps. Do you have time for that?
We have literally, I'm trying to do my maths now, 16, 17, a couple of minutes maybe, couple of minutes.
Okay.
Thanks, Mora.
Basically, I'll just summarise it. Like the full evaluation of our project really won't take place until all the equipment and things is installed, and our plan is to do that next year. But at the moment, we've seen an increase in confidence and an elevated well-being through the increased opportunities that Helen's given the children. Teachers are more confident using loose parts. Support staff now are going to use them in the playground, so that's all an amazing for us to get that in the playground and the children using that right away. And then the film aspect as well has been really, really good, so the teachers have used that and they'll be teaching other teachers what they've done, so that's been great. Our next steps is the Play Festival on the 26th of August, so that will take place with all our partners. We're hoping to promote community interaction after that using local groups, so like Guides and Scouts have already come forward and said they'd like to use our grounds, so we want to do more of that. We're looking at creative, innovative ways to do an P7S1 transition stuff. Evaluation of the impact will be done, and we're just going to continue to review and evaluate it as we go along, so that's us.
Thank you so much, Morag. That has just been an amazing journey that you've been on. Words fail me. You've done so much more than I even, I read the interim report recently, but wow, this is so much richer than all of that. And those two boys are just amazing. And the sense of ownership, they couldn't speak like that unless they'd been directly involved. So clearly learner voice has been central to this development. And again, like we've heard from the others, there's going to be a long-term impact from this, not just a sort of bungee effect that we sometimes get from projects like this. And I know that Lorraine, my colleague, who's one of the STEM leads at Education Scotland, was delighted to see loose play and outdoor learning going on, weren't you, Lorraine?
Super excited. And also as a drama practitioner as well in a previous life, the whole STEM STEAM kind of argument, I was like, yes, that's exactly what we want to see. Brilliant, just brilliant. And those lads were just outstandingly articulate, brilliant to hear. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank
We
you.
literally have maybe 2 minutes, I'm afraid, for questions. That's all we've got, or comments. Anyone on the floor would like to come in with a question or a comment? No. Okay, I think we're just all a bit in awe of what we've just seen and what we've witnessed. So thank you again. Absolutely brilliant. And we look forward to the festival. I don't know if I might manage to sneak up and see this. I'd love to
Come along, more the merrier.
I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking that, but yeah, I'd quite like to come and see what happens from this and the further developments from the project. So thanks again.